Welcome back to the program. So I'm in recuperation, I guess. I probably need some bingo therapy after getting as close as I did. But a lot of the comments that you guys all put out there were that we're proud of you. You stuck to your guns. You kept your ideology. You went to the right no matter what. And boom, it didn't happen. But hey, you stuck to your principles. And yeah, that's true. But I woke up this morning and I was joking with my wife and I said to her, to the left, to the left, to the left, the Cuban shuffle dance. Anyway, so, hey, live to play another game, right? I thank God for all of my blessings, for all of you, for everything that I have, for everything that's wholesome and dear to me in my heart. And, hey, so what? It happened, and that's the end of that. So, live to play another day, as they say. Okay, so let's get into what we're going to talk about. So the Autopen scandal blowing up even more, okay? Now there is a report from the New York Slimes, say what you will about them, right? But it confirms that Joe Biden did not sign off on many of these pardons that were issued at the last minute, including Dr. Fauci's as well, okay? So apparently, White House Chief of Staff by the name of Zintz, Z-E-I-N-T-S, or Zients maybe is how you would pronounce it. So let's see. The Oversight Project broke the story about the Biden Autopen scandal wide open after they discovered thousands of acts of clemency and executive actions were signed with an Autopen rather than with a wet signature. Earlier this year, the Oversight Project... Okay, why are they doing all this review? We know all about that. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. The New York Times also has revealed some of the emails that the National Archives handed over to the Trump Department of Justice as part of this investigation into the Autopen scandal. The emails reveal that Biden staffers made decisions to sign these pardons with the Autopen without, this is the key part, without directly hearing the order from Joe Biden himself. Joe Biden told the New York Times that he, quote, orally granted all of the pardons and commutations issued at the end of his term and lashed out at President Trump as a liar for claiming the Autopen was used without his authorization. I made every decision, Biden insisted during his phone interview with the Times. According to the Times, Staff Secretary Stephanie Feldman put the clemency records through the Autopen. It was revealed that Joe Biden did not approve of each name for the pardons, and after changes were made about the specific inmates, Biden did not sign off on that revised list either. Rather, his aides just ran the final version through the Autopen without Biden's approval. Mr. Biden did not individually approve each name for the categorical pardons that applied to large numbers of people, he and his aides have confirmed. Rather, after extensive discussion of different possible criteria, he signed off on a very few and used to determine which ones would be convicts would qualify for a, quote, reduction in sentence, the New York Times reported. Even after Mr. Biden made that decision, one former aide said, the Bureau of Prisons kept providing additional information about specific inmates, resulting in small changes to the list. Rather than asking Mr. Biden to keep signing revised versions, we're lucky to get him to sign even his name on a piece of, notebook paper. I mean, the guy is just completely incompetent. His staff waited and then ran the final version through the Autopen, which they saw as a routine procedure, and they did it all the time, according to the Times. Additionally, White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients is his name. Z-E-I-N-T-S. Wow, Jeff is going to be on everyone's radar after this show tonight, because I got another Jeff we're going to talk about. Actually approved these pardons for Dr. Fauci and others on January 19th. So there's a big break right there. So this Jeffrey Zients is the one that did these illegal pardons, and that's what they are. They're illegal pardons if the president or the fake president didn't sign them himself. You cannot use an Autopen for a pardon or a commutation or a bill or legislation or a law. No, you can use the Autopen for silly things, naming a post office box, whatever, naming a federal building. I meant a post office, not the post office. Doing things like that, mundane things, naming a building, a school, a gymnasium, stupid stuff like that, but not for pardons, for clemency, for computations, for so many other crazy things that they were using it for, including probably legislation or executive orders. So this is a crime, clearly, and regardless of what happens with this doctor, he should be in jail, obviously. They're still subpoenaing more and more and more and more people. So more and more is going to come out. We're going to find out exactly what happened, when it happened, and who did what. And, it's just going to be a matter of months, not years, months, until all of that comes out. So anyway, let's move on. So this is breaking now with the Secret Service. So the senior agent in charge of Butler was told 25 minutes before that somebody, which turned out to be crooks, was roaming around on top of a roof and was also seen with a rangefinder by security 25 minutes before the shooting occurred. Okay? So let that sink in for a second. They knew that there was somebody crawling around on the roof, and beforehand, which is not new news, we know that people notified security and said, hey, there's this young person walking around with a rangefinder, including some of the local authorities. They all saw it. But yet, this one agent, the agent in charge, basically has not been disciplined, number one, and number two, never said anything and knew that somebody was there and didn't do his job, didn't do anything. And I said his job because I know who it is now, and I'm going to explain it here in just a second. A damning new report from the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee outlines the massive security failures. Again, it's not security failures. It's a criminal conspiracy. I am going to continue to say that. 1 year after Butler, Pennsylvania, that nearly killed President Trump, one of the most chilling findings in the report is that the Secret Service did not even discipline an agent who was made aware of the shooter 25 minutes before he fired 8 rounds at President Trump and innocent rallygoers, and they did absolutely nothing. The 22-page report, which examines the, quote, stunning failures by the United States Secret Service that allowed then former President Donald J. Trump to be shot on July 13th, 2024. 1 year later, the facts remain as chilling as ever. A former president of the United States and major party candidate was shot in the head at a public rally by an individual who was reported as suspicious and carrying a rangefinder to the Secret Service at least 25 minutes prior, the report's summary reads. Now, what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania was not just a tragedy, it was a scandal. Okay, well, there's something I finally agree with. The United States Secret Service failed to act on credible intelligence numerous times, by the way. There was the 10 days prior that they knew that there was threats, that were possibly going to have credible threats in Butler. That was one they completely ignored as well. Didn't tell anyone about that. That's why I keep saying this was an inside job, and I'm not going to stop saying it. I am 100% convinced, 100% that this was indeed an inside job. I said that Literally the day after it happened, I said it was an inside job. Okay? And I'm not going to deviate from that. So then it says, the person in charge who will not be named, okay, they refuse to name. The report found that an unnamed Secret Service security room agent, the individual in charge of communications, who was partially identified as the special agent in charge of the United States Secret Service out of the Buffalo, New York field office. So, I did some research. Wasn't too difficult. Most articles do not show or share the name. And did some research, and it turns out that the person's name is Jeffrey Burr. Burr. Now, looked him up on Facebook, doesn't exist. Looked him up on LinkedIn. Oops, sorry, 404. You have a page that doesn't exist anymore. Looked him up on something else. Same thing. Page doesn't exist. And even on X, there was a story that he was involved in a 2022 arrest of somebody, and it was just a news story, and it had his name on it, and it said, click here to watch the story in the video. Oops, sorry, 404, that one doesn't exist either, okay? So they are obviously trying to hide this person's name, which I just revealed to you. Why he hasn't been disciplined? Why didn't this Agent Burr, why didn't he say anything when the Secret Service told him, hey, hello, there's a dude up there crawling around on the roof, and we've seen him earlier, and he's got a rangefinder. You going to do anything about it? Nah, I'm good. Really, you're not going to do anything about it? Nope, because the person that I'm working for told me not to do anything and to back off. That's what I think is happening. Now, I can't prove that, but it's pretty simple. If you can add 2 plus 2 and know that it equals 4, you can do from process elimination. Clearly, this was an inside setup. 100%. Okay? And I don't care who hears it. I'm done. All right? This is a 100% setup. This is not a failure of an operation. This was not missed steps. This was a criminal conspiracy to kill the President of the United States. Period. End of story. And I dare anyone to prove me wrong. They can't. And I'm going to continue to dig. And we're going to find out exactly what happened in time. So, that was that. Next, this is pretty interesting. There is a new anti-DEI index. And this index will only invest in companies that hire based on merit. Oh, gee, what a strange thing to hire someone based on their ability to do their job, basing it on merit. Oh, that's just so foreign these days, isn't it? So, pretty awesome. Let's see. Tuesday, Azoria CEO and founder James Fishback announced a new anti-DEI index fund that rejects woke policies and will invest solely in companies that engage in hiring practices based on merit. Fishback told Fox News Digital, it is the first time ever that an index fund is committed solely to meritocracy, unlike a traditional S&P 500 from BlackRock or Vanguard. We do not invest in companies that impose DEI hiring targets. Nike, Starbucks, Intel, Airbnb, there's 37 in total, and the reasons why we don't invest with them is these are both a moral reason and a financial reason as well. Fishback is an ally of President Donald Trump and former Department of Government Efficiency Advisor, who proposed mailing Americans stimulus checks based off of Doge savings. We need to do that. They need to get their act together, and they need to do that. He told Fox News Digital he launched the Azoria Meritocracy Fund in the hope of getting investors bigger returns than what they would get from ETFs that buy shares in companies that have DEI hiring quotas. So that's pretty cool. They're taking it right to them. You know, let me do a little sidetrack here, okay? So what's his name? Big Johnson, right? The Speaker of the House was on Maria Bartiromo's show, Sunday Morning Futures, and was talking, and he said something about having another reconciliation bill and maybe even 2 or 3 more. And so they want to codify more of the executive orders, which is great. I hope that they do that. But honestly, they need to go and pass the SAVE Act. It needs to pass the House and it needs to pass the Senate. It needs to be signed into law before the 2026 midterms. Because I'm telling you right now, these folks are going to cheat like you cannot believe. They don't like the direction of the country, the far, far left. They're going to have multi-millionaires, billionaires pumping all kinds of money into these 7 swing states. I'm telling you, it's going to be nasty. But if you pass the SAVE Act, well, now you mandate voter ID in every state, and you mandate that nobody can actually vote in the election if they're not a U.S. citizen. I mean, I got something from my county now that I have to fill out and send my birth certificate in just so that they can verify that I'm a legal citizen. And at first it was like, wow, holy cow, I can't believe they're doing this. And then I was like, wow, this is really good. They're going to start doing this and sending this out to lots of different people. Maybe some of you got it as well. I don't know. Let me know if you have. But this is really, really good. But the other thing I was thinking is we have such a small majority in the House and pretty much a small majority in the Senate. But we did get the big, beautiful bill done, right, through reconciliation. And so if Johnson says that he wants to do more of that, I say go for it. Absolutely, let's do it. And let's do it before the midterms. And here's the thing. Instead of Republicans with a very small majority not sticking together, if every single House Republican and Senate Republican just decided to be legendary, okay? Be legendary. Be the Congress that passes President Trump's agenda with the smallest majority out there. Be legendary. Go down in history as the most consequential Congress in American history. That's what they ought to do. I don't understand this infighting and no, I don't want to cut this and I don't want to do this and Susan Collins over here and Murkowski over there. It's like, it's ridiculous. You guys can be legendary, okay? Because of how small the majority is. We're not expecting much more than what we got so far. And of course, now they're talking about rescission packages, which are great. But we also have these leftist rhinos saying they don't want to cut USA. They don't want to cut NPR. They don't want to cut, all these other things. Well, that's why we elected President Trump, to cut all these things. So we'll see what happens. We may have to do a pressure campaign on at least 4 senators and probably 5 or 6 House members as well, because we've got to pass more legislation. If, God forbid, they win in 2026, oh man, the revenge is going to be brutal. Brutal. Okay? Brutal. And we don't want that. We want to make sure that we don't have to face that. So let's see what they do. I don't know if they will, but we'll have to see. All right, last story of the day. This one's really, really disturbing. So here is the mentality of Europe, okay? And in particular, Germany, okay? Germany has fallen into authoritarianism. They're going after the AfD party. They're kicking them out. They're not allowing them to run for office. They're going after people that are praying, just like they're doing in the UK. It's a disaster, okay? Germany has fallen. They have fallen into their authoritarian past, and it's sad. Well, this is how completely radicalized German people are when it comes to running the country of Germany and their leaders and elected leaders and politicians, okay? They have a major problem with migrant rape, all right? And there's a lot of rape that's happening in Germany. Not just Germany. Spain, it's happening. France, it's happening. The UK, Sweden, it's happening all over, everywhere, all over Europe. But it's really, really bad in Germany, as Germany's rape epidemic skyrockets 50%. Okay? You know what they want to do? You would think if you have all these migrants in your country and they're going around raping your German women, well, I think if you had any logical sense in your head, you'd go, maybe we ought to deport some of these people. You know, they're raping our women. Perhaps we should deport them, right? That would be the natural thing to do, wouldn't it? Nope. Nope, not in the far, far left of Germany, no. Leftist liberals, experts, are proposing, you ready for this, ladies? Forcing women to wear vaginal penis traps instead of mass deportations. Sorry, ladies, but we want these illegal gangsters and migrants to come and rape you. So instead of getting them out of the country, we're going to make you wear these weird things inside of you so that in case you do get raped, well, it'll stop the rapist. Wow. That's bizarre. And the story is even more bizarre. Germany, there you go, there's an interesting one. Germany is grappling with a severe crisis of rape and sexual violence as evidenced by the latest police crime statistics, which reported 13,320 cases of rape and sexual assault in 2024 alone. Okay? 13,000. Over the past 5 years, these offenses have surged by approximately 50%. In response to this escalating threat against German women, some experts are exploring unconventional, quote, technical aids to combat sexual violence. Left-wing sociologist Julia Wiegand from Ravensburg Weingarten University and Dr. Ursula Schneider from the Fraunhofer Institute for Health Technology in Stuttgart have proposed a study to evaluate the effectiveness of a South African anti-rape device known as Rape Axe, A-X-E, as a potential deterrent. Invented by Dr. Sonnet Ehlers, the device is a latex sheath inserted into the vagina featuring inward-facing barbs designed to, wouldn't it be outward-facing barbs? Why would it be inward? Facing barbs designed to embed into a perpetrator's penis upon non-consensual penetration, requiring medical removal. Ehlers envisions it not only aiding in the apprehension of assailants, but also facilitating a broader social, cultural shift to discourage such crimes. I don't know. How about just deporting these sick bastards? Wouldn't that be a lot easier than forcing these women to wear these, like, entrapments? I mean, this is so sick. So sick. Despite generating media attention in the past, the product remains scarce due to insufficient funding for large-scale production. Dr. Schrader has distanced himself from direct involvement with Rape Axe, clarifying in a statement, quote, "We are not planning any Rape Axe study, but want to look at technical assistance for protecting against rape." He acknowledged the South African model as one illustrative example of deterrent technology under consideration. While no firm plans exist for implementing such devices as a widespread public safety measure, the discussion reveals a deeper reluctance among German authorities and experts to actually confront the primary driver of this type of behavior and this rape and sexual violence, which of course is unchecked mass migration. Official data from the Federal Criminal Police Office reveal that foreigners comprising about 15% of the population, account for 41.8% of all crime suspects in 2024, with disproportionate involvement in violent offenses such as rape. Wow. Imagine that. The society has fallen so much that instead of deporting the people that are raping the women of the country, they would rather have the women wear some type of vaginal device that has like teeth on it. Wasn't there a movie like years and years ago? I can't remember what the name of it was. I think I remember seeing it, but it was like this weird like love story between these people, but the woman was born with some kind of weird like teeth thing. It was a weird thing. I don't know when I saw it, probably 20, 30 years ago, but it reminds me of this. But getting back to reality here, think of how sick that is. They would rather force women to wear something like this rather than deport the people that are doing the raping. I don't know, man. That's why I'm so glad President Trump and ICE and Border Patrol and Homan and the rest of them and Nome and all of them are just getting rid of these people out of this country as fast as humanly possible. Quite frankly, it can't happen soon enough. Those are my thoughts for today. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.